Y'all, we live in difficult times. There's war, political unrest, the pandemic, poverty, families being torn, communities ripped by gun violence and people dying every day. Police, injustice, it's all bringing so much pain. But y'all, we can look inside our minds and we can understand who we are, become better, and do this thing like we've never done it before. But it all starts with our mental health, and I know we can do it. I believe in you because I believe in me, and I believe in us. Hello, and thank you for joining us again for another episode of Therapy is Life, where thinking and feeling and experiencing well-being is what we do. I have with me again Niesha Perry and Delilah Greer, and we're going to finish up our discussion on relationships by talking about what to expect when you come into individual counseling to address relationship issues. So to get us started, Niesha, my first question to you is, how often do you work with clients that come in primarily when they come in, they primarily want to work on relationship issues, but in individual therapy?
How often would that be? I would say probably 60% of the time. That's been, I would say on average, yes, it is increasing. I think that with mental health awareness and the fact that we are trying to get more people to come into therapy for various reasons, relationships are the thing that really pull them in. They're looking at, not only how am I feeling, but how are my relationships being affected around me. I want to go to therapy because I want to talk about my relationship with my mom, my dad, my significant other. So relationships have been definitely pulling people into therapy.
Gotcha.
Beautiful.
And I concur. I would say about 60% of the time that it is related to relationships, whether it be significant other, whether it be mom, dad, or even children, or extended family members. For some people, extended family is so important. Delilah, do you have anything you want to add to that? Or
Well, relationships is a lifetime process.
Right.
You could use that word. It covers everything.
Right.
Even if we go to the store and ask for something.
Right.
We're relating all the time. And even when couples say they can't communicate, they're communicating all the time. It's a nonverbal thing. It's a body language thing. It's an attitude thing. They're constantly, we are communicating until we go to sleep or whatever, and we're communicating then, but anyway.
In a different way.
And you speak to the thing of communicating. We didn't say this earlier, but I think it's important to note that 65% of communication is probably body language.
Yes.
And then you have the next part of it, which may be the tone of voice, and the last part is what you say. So that means I think I could say, "Shut up, shut up, boy, you better shut up," and nobody take me serious.
Right.
But I could also do like this. And somebody knows, I'm ready to work. See, I didn't even scream, did I?
That's right. It was the body language.
My body language. And so it sends so much information. About things. Now, granted, you might have those people that might be on the spectrum a little bit, or people that might be more introverted, and you can't always
pick up
read
on social cues.
Yeah, you can't always read them. But in general, we can communicate a lot just by our body language. Because she looked at me, the way she looked at me, and man, just tore right through me, man. It hurt so bad. Let me stop. It hurt so bad. I just wanted to cry.
Well, what does it feel like? Why don't you demonstrate if somebody you're really attracted to, and so how did they look at you?
They looked at
How'd they go?
they looked at me like with the stink eye, like the stink eye, like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, okay, let me just move on, man. I feel that little nervous feeling in my chest. Be like, all right, let me just move on, man. Like, so with that being said, so what are some of the, when people come into for therapy as a individual, what is some of the particular type of concerns they may bring up?
Well, usually communications, then infidelity.
Okay.
To my surprise, it's never finances or money, even if they might be struggling. Very seldom do they bring that up. If I want to know about it, it'll be through the questionnaire or something of that nature. Most of them are in shock, in trauma. Have not had some positive experiences. A lot of what their experiences are repetitive things that happen. Just all sorts of things in terms of, is the marriage going to work? Domestic violence, it comes up. Anything that you can think of, it's a part of it. They fight, they argue, they fuss, do all kinds of things. So what I usually do is bring up what I call the 4 kinds of communication styles. And that's dialogue, discussion, debate. And so usually they're not in dialogue. They're usually past discussion where you take information and use it as you can. They're usually in the debate or the argument. And what I emphasize about argument is that argument there's nothing about it that's positive, and people usually argue because they feel intimidated or threatened when you think about it, or that person is trying to affect your self-esteem. But there's nothing logical about argument. No. It's a logic with debate and the rest of everything else.
It's more emotionally driven. It's not about the facts anymore.
Exactly.
We're no longer debating the facts. It's just emotions.
And what do we argue about? I don't know. Not really.
Yeah.
A lot of times. But it can be very threatening or intimidating.
You know what? With that being said, I feel like, okay, so let me say this, and maybe I'm going to talk about diagnosis a little bit, right? So diagnoses are, criteria we have to use in order to be able to develop a treatment plan and work with insurance companies and things like that, right? So, but I see adjustment disorders, people, transitioning. I see the depression. I see the anxiety. I see the PTSD. And
I see that all the time.
And the complex PTSD, among other things, when people come in with relationship issues. Yes. And a lot of times they want to talk about their relationships and whether they should stay or whether they should go. Well, whether they should stay or whether they should go. And so one of the things I oftentimes try to point out to people, I believe there's 3 things in a relationship that you have to be able to have answers to in order to decide what you should do. Number 1, are your beliefs and attitudes towards life in line? Number 2, is there reciprocity? Please tell me how I can get some reciprocity in this. Word. Because if the emotional bank account is empty, or there's being these checks emotional checks being written that's all constantly bouncing.
Yeah.
You say that there's no balance.
There's no balance. And then so you ask the question, is this person good for me? And so a person may be going back and forth with that. So then we move into exploring them. Like, okay, so let's not talk so much about that person. Let's talk more about you.
Thank you.
What do you want?
Yeah. Absolutely. Right. And it's like a misunderstanding, because the expectation, again, I think of couples, is I want to talk about him or her. It's their fault. They did this, they did that. And, it really takes 2 people.
Absolutely. Because how did what they did trigger you?
Right.
Let's talk
and
about
what are your triggers?
What they did. How did they make you feel? And what experience can you connect that with from early childhood, adolescence, prior to this relationship? How did whatever this person did to you, how did that really, really affect you? What memories and experiences did that bring up for you? Yeah. That's what we need to talk about.
And what does that say about you?
Yeah. So you're getting to the root at it, who you are. I mean, and sometimes if people can be, because what we're attracted to oftentimes is what we know. Like we hear about the person who was in an abusive family and they grow up and I'll never, be with somebody abusive, and that's the first thing they get with is somebody that's abusive.
Yeah, transgenerational patterns.
Exactly.
And the transgenerational patterns are not just generational, but they're from one relationship to the next. They just show up all the time.
Yeah.
And you swear you're not going to marry somebody that's abusive. And you get married. I had a couple, and the sister got married, and within 3 months, there was a situation where he was so possessive and territorial that he decided to move her, or they would move across the street from his mother's house. And he informed her that if you don't keep the shades open, I'm going to leave work and see what's happening. He became extremely abusive. So one day she said she was watching TV, and the sun was a reflection on the TV. And she said her husband came home like in 5 minutes. The mother called him.
Oh, my.
And he beat her so much that he felt he had killed her.
Oh, my God.
And then after he left, she called 911. He did break her leg for good. In fact, it had to be cut off. But it was that kind of thing. And she said, when I first knew that this was transgenerational is when we would go to bed, he pushed me off the bed and I had to sleep on the floor. And I got to the point I would sleep on the floor automatically. So it's some deep stuff that
The
happens.
mom definitely played a role.
Yeah.
His mom, yeah.
His mom, definitely. It was.
Oh, yeah.
That's so unfortunate. And so, but people being aware of their history, like we're talking about, understanding their history and the things they learned. Because what is it about us that might make us attracted to somebody who's abusive? Because typically abusive people have qualities that we do like.
Yeah.
Like they may be protective, they may be outgoing,
Romantic.
they may be outgoing, they may make you feel like they are a quote unquote alpha male, and we want that kind of safety and that type of support. But that also may be a reflection of the fact, and I love telling women that come in my office, sometimes those qualities are a reflection of some type of deeper insecurity.
Yeah.
I used to make this.
Something that you were missing.
Something you was missing. I used to make this. I used to do it when I used to work in residential. I would tell the boys about the story that I experienced when I was a child. There was these two dogs, and I would walk to school every day, and just about every day there would be this little chihuahua that always be barking, always be barking. But the other side, when I got closer to school, there was this Great Dane. And this Great Dane would walk up to the fence, but he would never say anything. One day,
Wow.
I got tired of the Chihuahua, so I went towards it, and it's like, but the Great Dane never said anything. And so I want you to think about this internally, not externally, and think about the difference in the size. But see, the one that's responding aggressively probably is more likely to be afraid of something, and the one who's calm has some sense of control and some sense of peace. So they're not reacting to things. So they don't come off as being protective, but they really are. They just cool in their game. So you're feeling safe because this person is acting out.
Yes.
But you don't realize it's because they are actually afraid.
Absolutely. Yeah, they feel that that's their form of protection.
It to be that way. And so we discount people because we don't understand this. So, but we've been learning. Well, what's the protective male? The cowboy?
Yeah, it reminds me of a friend used to come on the radio, The Quiet Storm.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And that's what that was.
Right.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, yes. So helping people become aware of those kind of things, and it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody who's physically abusive. It can be the emotional abusive person. Because you had a parent that always made you feel like you wasn't adequate. And so now you get with somebody who say they believe in you and all this kind of stuff. Oh, somebody believes in me, but then they go down that same road.
Yeah, and it could be social abusive. Can't go anywhere, do anything, isolate you. That's a part of it. It can even be spiritually abusive.
Yes, and when we get into those cycles, we go right back to being that scared little child who was helpless. So a lot of times people in domestic violence relationships or even emotionally abusive relationships, their loved ones, the people that they interact with, may ask, well, why are you still with them? Well, I let my parents abuse me for so long, or I was bullied in school. It kind of just becomes normal. It becomes comfortable. I know how to navigate here.
Right,
I can navigate my world in this because I'm so used to it.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So we keep doing these relationships, or like maybe family expectations. Maybe this relationship is bad, but because I got children, or because family look at me a certain way. If I get out of this relationship, I'm just gonna stay with it. Or financially, if I get out of it, it's gonna be all these problems.
Yeah, it's more reasons to stay than to leave, right?
Yeah.
Like our brains work more on like 80% of our thoughts are negative throughout the day, right? We have to really challenge the negative thoughts and be more intentional about what we think and how we think about situations. So when we are in unhealthy relationships, we're more thinking about like, well, if I stay, here's the benefits. But if I leave, now I got to be a single parent. Oh, some people stay in relationships for a long time because they don't want to go through the depression stage. They don't want to go through the grieving. They don't want to talk about, oh my gosh, what life is going to be like without them. I got them here, so I might as well just stay with it.
And plus, it takes 8 to 11 times usually.
Wow.
I mean, 8 to 13.
Leave.
Finally,
they just stay in it because that's what they know. It's uncomfortable, but they don't allow themselves all the time until probably 8th time to 11th time to actually think about, well, I want to be happy. I'm just going to go ahead and go through the depression. I'm going to go through the grief because I know that what's on the other side is going to be greater.
Yeah. And man, look, I don't, when you say that, how many clients that just keep going through the same narrative over and over and over again because they won't let go something that is hurting them. And then they actually are that single parent. They actually are that person that's doing everything all by themselves, but because symbolically they have somebody in the same house with them, they feel like they're not. But when you listen to what they do, it's like,
so you are a single parent.
You are a single parent, and you are doing everything by yourself. Like
you can.
Have a roommate.
Yeah.
Or a wife.
And that's when we, inspire them and just say like, wow, you're already doing it. You're doing a great job right now. You're already doing it. So let's talk a little bit more about the fear. What else are you afraid of?
That's a good one.
Yeah, because a lot of times I think we have these ideas about like the grass is green on the other side. We'll think things about the grass. We'll make these assumptions because we're uncomfortable with change, and we won't move forward. And so we'll end up having all these cycles of anxiety, all these cycles of depression, all these cycles of hurt.
Until your body says it's time to go.
And when your body says it's time to go, how does that show up?
High blood pressure, intestinal issues, headaches, anxiety. When you see the person, your whole demeanor, your whole body just starts to change. Listening to your body is beyond but I love him or I love her. What is your body saying?
Right.
That's what you got to listen to. Meditation and prayer. What is God telling you to do?
Yes.
God is telling you it's time to make that move. You got to trust. It's time to make that move. Don't just stay there because you're comfortable there, because there's something beyond this that's greater. If you want to be at peace and you want to be happy, you want your children to be happy, it's okay to move. Right? Yeah. So we have to, it definitely is steps. You don't just wake up one day and be like, oh, okay, I'm ready to go. But it's a slow transition. Our bodies are preparing us. God is preparing us to make the move because it is definitely doable.
Exactly.
Yeah, your body always gives you signals. And symbolically, even like Louise Hay, she talks about the emotions of the body. Like, when you have ulcers, you haven't expressed yourself. If you have laryngitis, you're not saying what it is you really feel. She goes through the emotional piece, and you could ask your body, do you feel good today? Yes or no? Do you really want to go out on an adventure like that? Yes or no? See, sometimes I call it checking in, and I start from the top of my head, like you said, and go to the sole of my feet, in the sense that. Should I really do this?
Gotcha.
That's what I do at this
point. Exactly. That's good, and we have to be able to check in and have a sense of ourselves, and believe that we deserve better than being hurt and downtrodden and beat down, and everything should be, hellacious. One of the things I try to emphasize more than anything is people developing a routine for self-care.
Yes.
I
like that.
So be in love with yourself enough to take care of yourself.
Yes, and understanding the difference between self-care and maintenance.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
A lot of times people think that, I got my hair done, I got a haircut, that's self-care. Well, when you get your nails done every month, and you get your hair done every 2 weeks, that's not self-care, that's maintenance.
Right, exactly.
What are you doing
like
to
that.
truly care for yourself that's different for you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Some
Thought
people
about
don't
it like
understand the
that.
difference between maintenance and self-care.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
had never thought about it like that.
Like, so
Yes,
it's important.
yes.
So starting with what you eat, exercising. Do you take space out for yourself? Because some people feel like they gotta always be dealing with other people's stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But we gotta set boundaries and give ourselves, I don't care if it's 10 or 15 minutes a day
Yes.
to kind of be to ourselves so we can reflect, decompress, unwind.
All of that.
And
Because-
emphasizing those kind of things when people come into individual therapy, dealing with relationship stuff, that self-care stuff is so important.
Yes, being in
Absolutely.
tune to
Yeah.
you and learning how to be alone with just yourself. If you
Exactly.
can't sit by yourself, or you can't travel, you can't do anything, take yourself to the movies, you can't go out to lunch by yourself. Why would you think anybody else would want to sit there with you if you can't sit there with you?
Because
Right?
if
you
you
gotta
can't,
in tune. You gotta be like, how am I feeling? What's going on within me? And if you don't know who you are from head to toe, inside and out, how can you expect anyone else to understand you if you don't?
yeah, like, so going back to the potatoes, if I ain't good potatoes,
Oh, 'cause
what
I'm
is
the
the gravy
potato
gonna do?
lady.
What is the gravy gonna do for me?
Yes.
I don't expect others to do for me what I'm not willing to do for myself. So
That's right.
sometimes in relationships, one of the biggest problems is we not expecting ourselves to do anything good for ourselves. So then we don't experience anything good because we don't make it happen. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to also be good with being alone.
Yeah, that's a part of accountability too. And we're sometimes called caretakers because we don't take care of ourselves.
Yeah, being alone, I got to take care of everybody and everything. No, but sometimes you got to be alone.
Yes, and as we were talking about this morning, actually planning time. We have time where we work. We're clinicians, right? We're taking care of our clients and their families. Then we have to go home and take care of our own families.
Say that.
Then we nourish our relationships that are close to us. But we have to sit down and put on a calendar when we can take care of ourselves.
Right,
Like, okay, I'm going to take a week vacation and I'm going to just focus on me. But I got to let everybody know first so they don't bother me. They don't expect anything because we just can't fall off the face of the earth. We got to
Right.
prepare people
Yeah,
when we're
prepare
not around.
Exactly. So when people come into individual therapy and they want to talk about relationship issues, yes, we want to talk about the problem they're having with the individual and what's going on. But I think it's important that a person take some time to get in tune with themselves. So self-care, understanding some of their own goals and dreams, really connecting to what they really believe and want in life, and asking themselves, how does this person align with that?
Yes.
Because I'm going to tell you, like, for example, I am a very busy person. So if you have an issue with time, I'm not the one for you because I'm busy. If you need somebody to always be available, oh no, I'm not the one. But some people might want to live in Timbuktu. You don't want to live there. Some people might want to live in Cleveland. You might want to live out in the country. Those things affect relationships. Some people don't care about money. Others, they really care about money. So you have to think through those things. But we're so busy not wanting to be alone and processing what we really want.
say that.
We just jump
Say
into
that.
stuff and we figure out.
Yeah, because I say take the word alone. You have ALONE, but start vertically at the top of the page. Draw a line between the L and the O. It's all one. Actually, you're never alone. It can change your whole perception
Yeah,
when people come in with that.
gotcha. So that's powerful.
different.
It's different because sometimes your greatest moments in life will come when you are not afraid of being
Already.
alone.
Witness.
Amen.
You-
Say
when
it
you're not
again
afraid
in
of
the
being
comment
alone.
section.
Amen,
Everybody comment. What you say?
Your greatest moments will come when you're not afraid
That's
of being
right.
alone. Like
Amen.
I'm telling you, that's when
Oh,
you'll
I
find your
know.
greatest
I
moments.
know.
Like if you go throughout history, when people have done great things, they oftentimes went to themselves, they closed off, and they worked at something. But when you're distracted by trying to figure out how you're gonna get your piece today or that over there tomorrow, you not focused in. So
you're
one of the
distracted.
So one of the challenges is to get people to understand it's okay for you to be alone so you can work through some things and
Exactly.
understand who you are better. Like T'Challa, show them who you are. So
Yeah. So individual
Yeah.
therapy allows people to gain self-awareness,
Yes.
self-confidence, self-esteem,
Yeah.
so you can be whole and complete for your partner.
right. And so when you
Yeah.
get a partner, they can be more like gravy.
Exactly.
And they can be more gravy. But even more importantly, if something ain't right for you, you good at walking away from the deal. That's why I tell people
Oh,
sometimes.
yeah. But you know it right away.
Yeah, you know what? Right
But
away,
you
you
feel
can
you're
walk away.
going to change it.
Yeah. Oh, listen, you said change it. Listen, I want to say this. I want to say this. You said that. Oh my gosh, I got to say this before we close this out. Is that when you meet somebody, now you know who you are and what you're trying to do. When you meet somebody and you see them and you say, oh, they're good, but this got to change. This got to change.
I
That
would
got to
say that
change.
one.
As soon as you saying that, you need to walk away. You know
Yeah,
why?
yeah.
Just walk away because you need to really assume that they'll never change. And if they stay just like this, will I be able to deal with them?
Yeah.
That's right.
You
That's
saw
right.
your
Don't
red
get in a
flag.
relationship thinking about what you can change, what can be changed later.
Yeah.
This is what you get.
This is what you get. If they change, that's gravy, but you need to be ready to deal with them as they are.
Yes.
If-
The only thing that we should be trying to focus on changing somebody in a relationship is communication.
Right.
Try to change who they are. Don't try to change what they like to eat because those things will come. If I say I'm vegetarian, I don't eat meat, I'm not going to be with somebody that says, oh, I'm going to get you to eat some chicken, girl. No, you're not.
Okay.
So where's your book? That's the last thing I want to say. So I'm looking toward you both to getting together to write your book.
Oh.
All right.
All right. So listen, folks, I hope this has been insightful. So if you come to individual therapy, though, so just expect to work on you more so than working on the problem. Because if you work on you, maybe the problem will improve itself. Or maybe you might decide that you need to do something else, but that's still solving the problem. But
You
just
are the problem.
or maybe you are the problem, but solving the problem because individual therapy is for you to get better so you can be prepared for whatever relationship you have, the one you in or the ones you have in the future. But it's about us improving ourselves. Anything else y'all want to add?
No, I enjoyed it. Thanks for
That
the
was
invite.
cool. For all you potatoes out there, yes,
Yeah.
work on being your whole and complete potato, and your significant other is gonna be your gravy.
Gonna be your gravy.
like that.
They'll be your gravy. Because you know if the potatoes ain't good, it don't matter. No matter how good the gravy is, it just won't be right.
Right. In order to go from 0 to 100, participate in your own life.
Yeah, exactly. You know, by the way, I like cut fries.
I got you.
I like good fries. All right, y'all. If you please like us, subscribe, add your comments in the comment section, and we will talk to you soon.
All right, thank
Oh,
you.
that was good.